7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Otis, you crazy mother.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Well, hello there. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, whatever. If you're here with us live, thank you. Thank you so much. I know this is odd to not have it on the evening, but uh how rude of me. How rude of me. I am Jordan Page, South Coast Canes, and we're gonna have fun. Sorry about being rude. Hello, Katie. How you doing today? So yeah, it's odd, kind of odd to do this in the middle of the day, but to let y'all know, Cuban. Oh yeah, he was. That was a good guy. Just give y'all a little quick reasoning here for this middle of the day show. I talked about it on my little patio perspective. Uh, but it was, at the time, Shad, and God bless the man, him and his wife, and that bundle of joy they have. But he had been trying to get that round table going for like a month. And I saw where he was going to go live last night, Friday night. So I'm like, well, I didn't want to do it on Thursday night because that was my first day off, and then he had Friday, and then the well, I try to pride myself on punctuality, Miss Katie. Anyway, and of course it's the Australian Grand Prix this weekend, which means the races and everything was at the middle of the night. Uh it was so, I mean, this was really the only time I could do it, and I'm glad I did, because I mean, this is, man, look, when I got off work Thursday morning, I feel like I have not stopped ever since. You know, I, I was busy Thursday, and then Friday I learned that I got my fuel pump on my truck went bad, so I got to change that tomorrow. No big deal, but it's been very busy, but I've loved it. It's been fun. It was good to get with Shad and Cuban and Studio One, or excuse me, Positive Kane, and let's see here. I think there was a Cam didn't take a break. Spring. It was a lot of personalities. What you say, Cuban Katie is cheating on these streets? Rumor she was at Coop Show. Hey, look, it is what it is. I appreciate y'all stopping by this afternoon, because you know that's a lot of we got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you got the basketball tournament going on. The baseball is going to be kicking off our first pitch less than an hour, even though they probably gonna lose anyway. Uh but yeah, last night was good. Now I will say I do apologize if I seemed a little pissy last night or whatever, because I just, it's been a lot going on. I haven't really been getting much rest, but but that 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 the fine folks of Coral Gables, that kind of triggered me, and I do apologize for my outburst on Shad's show. That was probably uncalled for, but that's just the way it goes. That's a sore subject with me, because you know Cuban had made I believe it. No, it might have been Hollywood. No, was it uh Knock 'em Out? No. Anyway, there was a guy that had was talking some stuff. I don't forgot what I was gonna say, but anyway, uh screw it. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. We got a lot of information to go through. If anybody is new to this, first, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Also, I have upgraded. I do this every time. I have upgraded the check it out corner. I upgraded all the pictures, the IDs. I also added somebody new. I'm gonna let y'all see. Nah, I'm just joking with you. Nah, I finally got Mr. Daryl Page up there. And let me tell you something. That dude, I'm gonna start calling him Silk, cause that has got to be. There he is, Mr. Daryl Page, talking sports with DP. That has got to be the smoothest creator out there. I mean, that dude is smooth, man. He got that little music going, and he got that smooth voice. I mean, dude got it going on. Uh well, it's you know when Cuban said it you know at what I was going to say, at one time, this guy Cuban, I think it was Cuban, talked about how Miami is in the South, but it's not in the South, if you know what I mean. And you know, I don't even want to get into all the crap I had to deal with being a Miami fan back in the 80s and 90s and so forth and so on. And it just really It just pissed me off, and I was already kind of I was already kind of in a pissy mood anyway, and it just anyway, it is what it is. Screw them. Screw them. They just hate us because they're not us. That's all it is. Screw them. Who cares? That's their problem. We're going to keep this party started. Okay. So, oh man, let's see. We're going to go ahead and get this started. Like I was saying, any of y'all who are new to this, whether you're new right now live or if you're going to check this out later on, it's very simple. We go through a bunch of numbers, stats, give some opinions, but it's not I don't find it very entertaining, but it's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of history, you know. It's a necessary thing in my opinion. So, yeah, it's not going to be flashy. It's just we're going to talk about things. We're going to try to relive this, try to remember this the best we can. And if we make any mistakes, you know, I'm always up to constructive criticism in the chats, because I'm going to make mistakes and I'll admit if I make a mistake or if I'm wrong, I will admit it. So, uh, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the ever popular, put the link in the chat for if anybody wants to show up. So, this is Positive K never makes mistakes. Hey, bruh. To each their own. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here. Whoa. I'm getting fancy. Anyway, so let's get into this because this is a very interesting season. Okay. Cuban would have had an ally about going. Oh yeah. If I'll address this before I get started right quick, but and I said it last night, I was in favor of Miami going to the SEC. It was kind of a personal bias thing. Okay. And I thought at the time it would kind of probably be helpful, but I kind of thought about it and it's like, they need to stay where they're at. They just need to stay where they're at and, enjoy the bounties and the blessings and the, I don't know, easiness that is the ACC because, it's crazy. It's crazy. But if they go to the SEC, you might not even get in the playoffs. But in the ACC, you probably could. And plus, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. And plus, you would be more successful. And it is what it is. They gonna do what they do, and everything like that. All right. So before we get into this, I am going to bring to the stage. I am getting paid, which I need to add. First off, how are you this afternoon?
Oh, sorry, I'm new to the show.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Welcome.
my name is I am getting paid. I saw you were on the show yesterday with Shad 1419 and Studio One and that guy that kept changing. I lost track, so. But I'm fine. I'm working. So
Okay.
I am working while speaking
And that's
here.
fine.
So I'm getting paid. Oh yeah, I have I looked at my bank. I have something to pick with you. I looked at my bank account this morning and I didn't see your payment come through. Shad gave me his payment. Other shows gave me their payment for joining. I'm just wondering when you're going to send me my payment, sir. Kind sir.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble. I hate to disappoint. But if you're looking for any type of monetary compensation from this channel,
One BTC is fine. One Bitcoin is fine. Shad sent me about 5 yesterday, so you can send me one. I'm not No discrimination here. Just one
I te- I,
Bitcoin.
I
It's
tell
fine.
you what, I'm gonna put it in the mail today.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I'm
put it in the mail. I'm gonna
I'm
put that
expecting it.
Bitcoin in the envelope and send it to you.
I'm good, Jordan. Just like I said, I'm working well.
I hear you. But you know, it's funny you bring up this paid thing. It's I tell you what, bro. I know we've discussed this at length, but people must be getting a lot of zeros on some of these checks, bro. Because like I said last night, I have never. I mean, this off season, I have not seen the hype machine this wound up in a ever. This has been crazy,
Well, I
you
mean,
know.
you're starting to see the reasonings why, right? It's all about access, and at the same time, these Canes creators, this is their living, right? So they probably
Right, right.
have to do this for their living. So I'm not mad at that, right? All I'm for is just use the your word, use your discernment and use your eyes, right? To just make don't these Canes creators, they're going to make their statements, and they're going to say that everything is great. This is the greatest team. There's the greatest. That's fine. Just understand they're doing that for a monetary, for clicks
Oh,
purposes. So
yeah, yeah.
just
Hey,
understand that, and don't bring their when it comes to a debate, have your own debate. Like Studio One is great with it, right? He has his own
oh yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
and it's like, just bring your own opinions. Don't use rinse and repeat recycled information, right? So
Right.
I'm
And
just big on
yeah.
just use your own opinion.
Oh, most definitely, and I agree 1,000%. Because I've said it before. Nah, it's not. Guys are trying to pay the mortgage, pay the rent, pay the Netflix, pay the wireless. They're just doing a job,
Right.
okay? And that's fine. I mean, get again, say what you want. The thing that I have problem with is the fact, like you said, the people don't have the proper discernment filter, and they take everything these people say as gospel. And it may be, but you know, real quick and we'll move on. But okay, like when Cam Ward threw those one or three passes, and all of a sudden he's out to be the next Heisman. And of course, everybody and their brother, they're talking about he's the Heisman. And then Restrepo, the greatest catch in 30 plus years of Green Tree. And everybody felt, what I'm saying? And that's, again, people can say what they want to say. They have the right to do that. God bless you. Do your thing. But when some of us may criticize or question, don't come at us like, how dare you? But that's a whole different thing. All right, so let's dive into this. Let's get this party started here, people, because uh y'all know Truck and Chubsy and Shad have their fan point of view at 6:30 Eastern, which is about what, almost 5 hours from now. So hopefully we'll be wrapped up by then.
Just one thing. No, I just looked at Katie's comment, right?
Which one? Which
I,
one?
oh no, about nobody say with a straight
There
face.
we
Yeah,
go.
that one.
Oh, and I
It's
agree.
and I'm for competition. I'm for playing the best teams. But why even put yourself through the stress when there's going to be a 14 team playoff, and just make it easy on yourself and play the tough teams at the end, right?
Right.
It's funny because I hear people say, "Oh, we're going to get more money at SEC or the Big 12." First of all, this money is not going to the fans, and it's not going to the players. So who
No, no.
cares how much?
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
could they could make $100 million. Number one, it doesn't matter for Miami because you are in a fertile recruiting base. So
Right. Right.
Miami doesn't have to go to Iowa or North
Hmm.
Dakota to recruit.
Right.
Miami has to just get in a car, and within 3 counties they could get their whole recruiting class, or
Oh
even the
yeah.
state of Florida. They don't have to get on a plane. So the thing I don't understand, people are like, oh, there's going to be so much money. Number one, Miami is never going to get a on-campus stadium, right?
No.
Quote unquote, that the $100 million facility is already, the money is earmarked already. So, what else are you gonna? We all would like more money, right? But in this scenario, this money's not going towards the players, right?
Right.
So who cares how much? It's like, okay, they make $20 million more. The players are not getting this money, right?
Exactly.
The fans are not getting this money. This money's going, what University of Miami's history, just now we could kind of go to your way. What the University of Miami does is get this money and pours it into the medical and the law schools. They don't put it towards the athletic programs, because if that was the case, the Orange Bowl will still be around. They took that sale of the whatever the deal was with the Orange Bowl and gave that money to the medical field, right? And I live in Miami, right? If you go to Miami and you go around Jackson Memorial Hospital, everything around there belongs to University of Miami, right? So they're going to take that money and put it in their, their number one focus is athletics. They don't care about football. So when people say more money, it's not going to the players, the fans, or the program. So yeah, exactly. So now I could continue.
Right. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, QB? Glad you're here. I just want to see Miami get better and be more consistent and be successful. That's all I want. I don't care. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying they have to come out and win the national championship every year. I just want these young, talented men that we have on this team to be able to get set up for success and then get developed in order to become more successful on the field, if that makes any sense. And I hate to say it, folks, but we really haven't had a coach that's done that. There's been glimpses, but it is what it is. All right, so we can get to that at another time in the video or whatever. So let's talk real quickly about what happened in 2008. Just a real recap, real quick. So Miami ended up finishing 7-6, which was Randy Shannon's second year. Sound familiar? They finished 4-4 in the ACC. Basically, they were third in the ACC Coastal. Apparently, North Carolina must have had some victories taken away from them. I think they had some type of infractions or something.
Butch Davis. Yeah, Butch Davis. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, we all know about the number one recruiting class. And then, of course, one of the big things, Marv was a redshirt freshman. Harris was a true freshman. Neither one of them really had much playing time. They had a new defensive coordinator, Bill Young, and a new wide receiver coach, Aubrey Hill. So, 2009. There was, and this is because if you look at the title, Let It Whip, well, this was, we have a new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple. And believe it or not, this was the fourth offensive coordinator since 2004. Sound familiar? And then also a new defensive coordinator, John Lovett, which was, if my numbers are right, and if I'm wrong, y'all call me out, but he was the fourth defensive coordinator since 2004. Sound familiar? I mean, you can't make this up. This is history. It's all in the record books. Look it up if you don't believe me. Now, some off-season stuff. Of course, we know Marv transferred to Purdue. All right. Also, I did not know this, but quarterbacks Taylor Cook and Cannon Smith transferred. I think it was, from what I saw, it was like late August. And then guess who joined the team? A young man by the name of Jimmy Graham. He was, as y'all know, he was a forward. I think he was a forward. I think they had forwards back then.
Yeah, he was a forward. Power forward.
Yeah. He was on the basketball team and decided, hey, I want to play football. And thus starts the Jimmy Graham era. Okay, so let's see if I can do this here. We're going to look at our coaches. And this is all straight from the media guide. Of course, Randy Shannon is the head coach, in case you didn't know. And of course, there he is, the new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple. Oh, last I checked, I believe, let's see, he is the OC for, let's see, he went to Pittsburgh.
Well, he went
And
to Nebraska and got fired.
yeah, that's right. Okay, and then there's Mr. Lovett, the new defensive coordinator. Of course, Panunzio is still there. Clint Hurt was still there as the defensive line coach. Barrows still the assistant coach on the defense doing the linebackers, I believe. Aubrey Hill still there with the wide receivers. Wesley McGriff, defensive backs coach. Tommy Robinson, running backs coach. And I'm going to stop right here for just a second and tell you that, looking and going back and refamiliarizing myself on some of this stuff, we had some talented young men on this football team. Stoutland still holding down the line. We got some new grad assistants. Boomer, Philbrick, and Mark Reese. And, of course, Swayze and his friends on the strength and conditioning. All right. So I'm going to put this down for let me remove this for just a second. So that is the coaching staff for 09. Now, looking at the schedule for this year, I don't know if you can see that. I am going to let me do that. You still with me, Cube? And I didn't kick you off, did I? Cool. All right. So
I'm still here.
okay. I just want to make sure everybody can see this schedule. So, so this is the 09 schedule. The rankings are the preseason AP rankings. Okay, these are preseason. This is not. So if we were sitting there in August or whatever before the Florida State game, this is what we would see. And really, it's basically kind of the same schedule we've seen, with the exception of Oklahoma coming to was it Land Shark? Yeah, it's still Land Shark. Anyway, now of course they're leading off on the Labor Day with the Florida State. You see the Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and we're not going to talk about the Virginia Tech that. I don't know who it was. It may have been positive. No, it may have been Cam Ward. Cam Harris didn't get paid or something. Anyway, but yeah, Virginia Tech still had it. So yeah, that's the 09 schedule. That's what we're going to be looking at. All right. Real quickly, get rid of that. This is kind of a quick. Hang on. Let me get this out the way. This is kind of a quick rundown of the depth chart. It basically stayed the same throughout the season, with a couple of minor changes here, like with the fullback and stuff. But that was basically the depth chart for the year. Oh crap! I went out of sequence here. Okay, it's cool. We can go back to it. Let's see here. Let me. Uh-oh. There it is. We need to talk about the recruits, incoming recruits. All right, let's add this to the stage. I want to go full screen on this. All right, so class of 09. I went back to the Rivals because I wanted to see some of these stars. But according to Rivals, this 09 class was ranked 15th. The big thing that I saw was Ray Armstrong, 5-star according to these fine folks at Rivals here. Oh. So you got Sanders, Bunch, hope I said that right. Shayon Green, Jared Wheeler, offensive lineman. Of course, Ray, and then Dyron Dye, Jermaine Johnson, Lamar Miller. I'm sure that name sounds familiar to some folks. Jamal Reed, Brandon Washington, Brandon McGee, Curtis Porter, Prince Kent, Mike James, 4-star running back, Pleen, Corey White, Luther Robinson, Olivier Vernon, defensive end, and of course AJ Highsmith, which is the son of former football director Alonzo Highsmith. Which,
a lot of NFL players here.
You see that, huh? You see that. Again, you know, as we've looked at this for, this is our 6th season now. There's been, talent has been coming. It has been coming, and it's it's there. The talent is there. All right. So that's basically it. Now, again, like I said, with Cook and Cannon leaving, that basically left Jakari and Highsmith, but it's okay. All right. So with that being said, let me get rid of that. And I need to go ahead and get into the games. All right. So let me our first game. Let me add this to the stage. There we go. As you can see, I got this from collegepressbox.com. They got a little fancy for the 05 season. Pull up my highlighter just in case I need to use it. So, Florida State, Miami. It was a Labor Day night game. Oh, Lord, Shad is here. Shad's awake in the middle of the day. Look at that, boy. All right, so Miami pulls it out 38-34. Get to my game notes here. So, one thing I remember from this game was that pass that Jakari made to
Travis Benjamin
for, what was it, like 40 yards or something like that. Just threw it, and then Benjamin was wide open, and Jakari did this little thing, with his hand in the air and all that. I mean, I saw that. I'm like, oh wow, here we go. And then also, there was another pass play that Harris made. Oh, he threw it. It was like a sideline pass and hit the receiver like in stride, right on the sideline. It was probably about a 30 or 40-yard pass. I mean, he threw. I'm like, wow, this young man is doing pretty good. Yeah, I was hyped. I was ready for this. So, but yeah, let's look at the scoring summary here. It was basically nip and tuck until the fourth quarter, where Harris had a run. Of course, Florida State had an interception. Cooper had him a pass, and Cooper had the run with 1:53 left. Now, another play that stood out to me was that after Miami scored that go-ahead touchdown with a minute 53 left, this one right here. Oops, not that one. After Cooper scored that touchdown, the one thing that I remember, Florida State got the ball, and they ended up getting down to like the 2 or 3 yard line, and I think it wasn't much time left. I think it was under a minute, under 30, but that's not important. But I remember the first down at the 2 yard line, and I'm like, oh God, please Please stop them. And, Christian Ponder, threw those incompletions. And then the last play of the game where he threw that incompletion in the end zone, at first I thought that guy caught that ball, but it was incomplete. So, and Miami held on to win 38-34. I was impressed with this game. I really was. Looking at some of the stats, it was basically first downs were basically nip and tuck. Rushing yards, Miami had 90, Florida State 110. The one thing that did stick out was the 2 interceptions by Mr. Harris. That's going to be kind of a common theme, but I should have said spoiler alert. Miami had 476 yards total offense. Florida State only 404. Of course, Florida State had more plays than Miami, but that's of no consequence. I mean, that's a lot of yards. And, the one thing that I look at, third down conversions, Miami was 5 of 13. Of course, Florida State was 6 of 15. But that's good for Miami. But still, again, third down conversions in these games have just been a thorn in the side. So let's look at the individual stats. As you can see, James had 38. Cooper had 31 yards rushing. Collier got in there, got a little bit. Mr. Harris, he was 21 of 34 for 386 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. I think that 40-yard one, that was the one to Benjamin. Let me come back up here. Yeah, 39, 40 yards. Yeah, that's what that was. I remember that. Okay. But 2 interceptions. That, and again, this is only his second year. He's a sophomore, so. But I mean, he was only sacked 1 time, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. As far as receiving goes, Benjamin had a great game. He had 4 receptions for 128 yards, for a touchdown with that 40-yard reception, and then Hankerson got into the act. He had 4 catches for 72 yards. Along of 40. And again, if you look at this, all this. Everybody got a ball. Everybody got a catch. Everybody saw the ball. I mean, it was distributed great. It was good. Everybody got it. I like that. And of course, the Florida State, looks like Ponder was sacked 2 times. And that's all the receiving yards, all the all-purpose stuff, the defensive. Really, for Miami, it looks like Bailey and Robinson both had a sack, but it must have been on somebody else. So, yeah, that's basically the Florida State game. So Miami comes out. Now, again, Miami was not ranked in this game. Florida State came into the game ranked number, what I say it was, 18 or something like that. Anyway, that's of no consequence. Yeah, they were ranked 18th. So Miami beat a top 20 team, Florida State, at Florida State. Now, this is going to bring us to the next game. Is going to be, hang on, let me see here. Let me write something down right quick. I do apologize for this. All right. I don't want to show anything. Score-wise, that's not a pause. All right, so next game. We have your number 20, Miami Hurricanes. That's right. They are in the top 20. Number 20, Miami, taking on number 14, Georgia Tech. And, Miami's on a 4-game losing streak to Georgia Tech right now. But guess what? Get your curve. There we go. Miami pulls it out 33-17 at home. So, Miami finally beats Georgia Tech at home, and one thing I did see about this game is before the game, Ja'Cory Harris kind of had a little bulletin board material saying that this offense couldn't be stopped. So Georgia Tech didn't stop it. So yeah, number 14, number 20 Miami. It basically Miami just come out and took care of business. Looks like Mr. Graham had him a touchdown pass reception, but yeah, I mean it was really never in doubt. Miami jumped out, to a 33 to or 31-10 lead, and then Georgia Tech got a couple of scores. But the good thing is Miami finally beat Georgia Tech. Oh boy. So looking at the stats, the team stats, I mean, Miami had 21 first downs. Oops. So that's pretty good. Georgia Tech only had 12. Now, Miami had 184 yards rushing. Oh, I got to hit my highlighter. There we go. And then Georgia Tech only had 95 yards rushing, which is pretty good considering, the last few years Georgia Tech has been running at will, Let's see here. Passing, Mr. Harris was 20 of 25, no interceptions. It's fine, Cuban. It's fine. It's fine. No big deal, but I appreciate it. Now, of course, Georgia Tech 6 of 15 in passing, which is kind of their MO. They mostly run the ball. So actually, Miami outgained Georgia Tech 454 yards to 228. All right. Why am I not highlighting? I wanted to highlight. So yeah, Miami outgained them 454 to 228 and won the game. So let's look at third down conversions. Now Miami was 8 of 13. So that's not bad. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Georgia Tech was 6 of 14 on third downs. So not too bad. Defense did really well. All right, so let's look at the individual stats right quick. So Cooper come out and had 101 yards rushing. I don't know why I can't highlight right. James had 72, so that 1-2 combination is starting to do its thing. Looks like Benjamin had some rushing yards. Chambers had some rushing yards. Like I said, Harris was 20 of 25, 270, 3 touchdowns. The longest pass play, 40 yards, as you can see. And again, look at this. The receivers. Everybody, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What was that? 9 different people caught a pass. I mean, that's impressive. Even Mr. Graham, the tight end, caught a pass. Epps and everybody. Bird got 5. So I mean, it's so good. Back then everybody got to touch the ball. Now, as far as Georgia Tech goes, rushing, which is their thing, 39 attempts for 159 yards, but apparently must have had them sacks. I think those 2 sacks must have gave them that 23, negative 23, which gave them the 95 total or whatever it is. I don't know. No, I'm not even reading this right. They had 64 lost yards. Okay. But anyway, who cares? They basically kept Georgia Tech from rushing for like 200 or 300 yards. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. So yeah, nobody sacked Harris for Georgia Tech. Okay, Vernon and Regis had a sack, and of course, Mr. Wesley had a sack. So yeah, that was it was a good game. It was good to see Miami finally take care of Georgia Tech and not let Georgia Tech run for ungodly amount of yards. Snap the 4-game losing streak. So the next game is going to be your number 9 Hurricanes. That's right. They are in the Miami is in the top 10 for the first time since 2005. This is 2009. So your Miami Hurricanes are number 9 in the country. All right, so let me get this right. I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to be all secretive about this stuff. You can just pull the score up and see what it was. So you got number 9 Miami taking on number 11 Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. Couple of game notes here. It was one of those bad. The weather was horrible. It really was wet, raining. This was actually an opportunity for Miami to go 3-0 in the ACC because they'd already beat Florida State. They beat Georgia Tech, so they're 2-0. And I believe Virginia Tech was also 2-0. I don't really remember. So, guess what happened? Oop, get back over here. Miami goes to Blacksburg and gets pummeled 31-7. The Virginia Tech defense just they harassed Mr. Harris and that team, and it was it was Virginia Tech, and it was a man, they just destroyed them. So we'll look at the scoring summary. As you can see, Virginia Tech come out. They jump out to a 21-0 lead at halftime, and excuse me, you had that run for 2 yards for a touchdown by Williams, and then Boykin had a 48-yard touchdown pass from Tyrod Taylor, and then they had the block punt return for a touchdown, and I'm thinking, oh, crap, I guess it's over. The thrill is gone. That didn't sound good, but y'all know what I'm saying. Luckily, Miami did get on the board in the third quarter, but, man, Virginia Tech just came out and played. Again, the defense for Virginia Tech was just, from what I remember watching the highlights, it was crazy. All right, so as you can see, Virginia Tech got about 5 more first downs. Most of them were rushing. Let's see here. Tyrod, yeah, he was one of them. So Virginia Tech had 55 yard rushing attempts. They averaged almost 5 yards a carry, 4.9. They had the 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, Miami only had 59 rushing yards. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was crazy. And then you got, I mean, look at this. Look at this right. This kind of tells you right here. Mr. Harris was 9 of 25 with 1 interception. All right. Tyrod was 4 of 9. So, needless to say, Virginia Tech with the 272 yards rushing versus Miami's 59, they just ran the ball at will. They just ran it. And then, of course, with Tyrod, and we'll probably find this out when we get to the individual summaries. I'm pretty sure he had something to do with that. Uh, they both had about the same amount of offensive plays, 59 for Miami, 64 for Virginia Tech. So the problem is Virginia Tech was averaging almost 6 yards a play. Miami's only averaging 3.5 yards a play. Let's look at where's our third down conversion? There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Miami that's right. It's not a typo. You see what I see. Miami was 1 of 11 on third down conversions. That's probably the worst I can think of since we've started this series. Just 1 third down conversion. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all let me know in the chat. But 1 of 11. When I say the team took a nosedive, they took a nosedive. Now, granted, Virginia Tech was only 5 of 14. All right. But still, 1 of 11. 1 of 11. And luckily they were 1 of 2 on field goals, or it could have been 34-7. So this game's bad. It was bad. All right, so let's look at this. All right. So Cooper had 60 yards. James had 39. But you had some losses, which brought the numbers down. Like I said, Harris, 9 of 25, 1 interception. He had 150 yards passing. He had 3 sacks. So, yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, only 3 people were able to get receptions. Only 3. There we go. Bird, Hankerson, and Epps. Those are the only 3 that got a reception for 150 yards. I mean, Hankerson got his 79, but man, that's crazy. Crazy. Now, let's look at Virginia Tech. So Williams, he had 34 rushes for 152 yards. Now, he lost 2 yards on something. He had a net of 150. So, 34 rushes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. The longest run was 44 yards. So, yeah. And, of course, Tyrod, not Tyrod, but Tyrod, Mr. Taylor, he had 10 rushing attempts for 75 yards. I figured it'd been more than that, but it is what it is. So like I said, as a result, you had 55 attempts at rushing for Virginia Tech for 272 yards. Wow, that's a lot. Didn't have to pass because, like I said, he had, Mr. Taylor was 4'9", 98 yards. He had that 1 touchdown, which apparently was that 48-yard play there. So, again, when you're running for 272 yards, why really pass the ball? You don't have to. So, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so Spence and Bailey combined on a sack, and Wesley got him a sack. And then you can see Porch, Warwoods, or was that Riles? I don't know. Who cares? Yeah, 3 sacks for the defense of Virginia Tech. So, yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. It was bad, So now, Miami started out 2-0 in the ACC. They had a chance to go to 3-0 and take a pretty good lead in the ACC early in the season. But Virginia Tech flexed that muscle. They did what Virginia Tech does. They do what Virginia Tech does. They humbled Miami pretty hard. So with that being said, next on the schedule is Oklahoma. So your number 17, that's right. They went from number 9 to number 17. Your number 17 Miami Hurricanes take on the number 8 Oklahoma Sooners. Now, if y'all remember, let me come back here. If y'all remember, at the start of the season, excuse me, at the start of the season, Oklahoma was preseason number 3. All right. Oop, I got to add myself. Let me remove that add myself. So if y'all remember, Oklahoma was number 3. Of course, Virginia Tech was 7. But if my memory serves me right, I looked to see what the heck happened. And apparently, Oklahoma on the first game of the season, I believe they lost to BYU. I think it was BYU. So it is what it is. All right, so let me bring this back up. I'm going to go ahead and make it full screen because you don't really need to see me. Y'all know what I look like. So your number 17 Miami Hurricanes are taking on number 8 Oklahoma. I remember this. This was really cool. All right, y'all ready to see what happened? Miami holds on 21-20 to defeat a top 10 team. What? Of course, it was at home. It was a big matchup. So basically, some game notes on this right quick. There was no Sam Bradford. I believe he was still sidelined with I think I read an ankle injury, I believe. He won the Heisman the year before, if I'm not mistaken. Again, if I'm in error, y'all call me out in the chat. But I believe Bradford won the Heisman the previous year in 2008. And then he was in the sideline. He didn't play in this game. I think it was an ankle injury. No, shoulder injury. I think it was a shoulder injury. Who cares? He wasn't in the game. All right. I think that we'll find out. I just want to see if I remember. But I think this is that game that that backup quarterback for Oklahoma, the mustache dude, was it Landry? I think his name was. You know that he was all. Anyway, who cares? So yeah, and we're going to get to this, but Miami did score those 21 straight points right here in the second. We'll start about 8 minutes here. So Graham had a pass, Epps got a pass, and Benjamin caught a pass, and that basically had Miami up to 21-0, going. A little bit left in about halfway through the third, which was like, oh man, this is cool. But OU come back. DeMarco Murray had him a 2-yard run, and then with 4 minutes left, they kicked a 39-yard field goal, and it got to 21. I mean, because when Miami jumped out 21-10, I'm like, all right, cool. But, Oklahoma was Oklahoma, and they started coming back, and, I'm like, oh, man, this is going to suck. But they held on. I was so glad they won that game. Of course, my brother-in-law, they're all from Oklahoma, big Oklahoma fans, and I just smile at them. I don't say anything. I just smile at them. Okay. So looking at the team stats here, the first downs were equal. Even the yards rushing were pretty equal. Okay. Everything, everything was pretty much on par. Even the passing yards. You got 188 for Oklahoma, 202 for Miami. But this right here. Hang on, let me get rid of these highlights. This right here. That right there. Those 2 interceptions by Mr. Harris. He was 19 of 28 with where's that? Oh, okay. Yeah, he was 19 of 28 for 202 yards. I done forgot where I was, but he had the 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions. And then Oklahoma was 18 of 30 on passing for 188 with no interceptions. I really, if I'm not mistaken, those 2 interceptions kind of help Oklahoma stay in it. But anyway, where is it at? Third down conversion. Miami was 8 of 13. Oklahoma was 5 of 15. So the defense did pretty good, but offense, not too bad. Not too bad. It's better than 1 for 11. You know what I mean? 1 for 11 just don't get it, Okay, here we go. Landry Jones, that's what his name was, that mustache dude. So I did say Landry. I think I called it Russell Landry. Anyway, yeah, that was that mustache dude. I believe he was like, part of Oklahoma lore or some crap like that. Landry Jones, that was his name. Not that it really matters. So one thing about Javarius James. Javarius James had 15 carries for 150 yards. This was a career high for Mr. James, a career high. And what was even more impressive was that those 150 yards were against, at the time, Oklahoma had the nation's top number 1 rush defense. So that was pretty impressive. Even Cooper got in the act with 21 yards, but it was mostly James. James was just doing his thing, man, doing his thing. For Oklahoma, DeMarco Murray, he had 23 rushes for about 80 yards. Chris Brown, 11 for 71. And that was really all the rushing for them. But, I mean, James come out and just that was pretty cool. Now, like I said, with passing, Jakari had 2 interceptions. He had 3 touchdowns, but he was sacked 4 times. Landry was, Mr. Jones was sacked 3 times. So that defense was getting to Jakari, excuse me. I'm going to get it right one day. I'm just going to start calling him Mr. Harris. And look at this. Look at this right here. Again, look at all the people getting touches. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 different people got a reception. I feel like we've been saying that for a few episodes. Well, at least the last few episodes. That's impressive. Now, again, nothing really. I mean, Benjamin had 61. Johnson had 45. Aldarius Johnson. Graham had a reception. But, just to be able to pass that around like that, that is impressive. You have to admit it's impressive. Looking at Oklahoma, Cameron Kennedy had 6 for 72. And so forth and so on. So, yeah, I think if it hadn't have been for those 2 interceptions, it would have been probably a lot worse. It'd have been more than 21-20. It would have been a bigger victory. But that doesn't matter. They took care of business. Okay, looking at the defensive numbers, Jeremy Beal he had 3 sacks on his own, and Keenan Clayton had 1. For Miami, Bailey got him a sack. Mr. Harris got a sack, and Mr. Robinson got a sack. So, yeah, it was, apparently it was just Miami's day that day, It was just their day. And, it was such, after the debacle of Virginia Tech the week before, to cut for Miami to go home and then take care of Oklahoma like they did, it kind of made things feel a little better, because the next game is FAMU. FAMU. No, hang on just a second. I need to look at something right quick. I don't want to give away the scores. Okay. I meant to do this a second ago. So, I like to keep y'all in suspense on what happens. So, your now number 11 Miami Hurricanes are taking on the Rattlers of Florida A&M. I'm not ignoring. See, Katie, shout out to Shad. Shad, that was a great show. I watched it this morning, but nothing beats being there live. I know, right, Katie? And, it seems like every time I'm not able to watch and have the pleasure of joining Shad's roundtable show, it's like it's some of the greatest. It's like some of the greatest shows he's ever had. I don't know. I'm not being paranoid. I'm just saying it's crazy. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Just trying to break the monotony here, y'all. Because like I said, I told y'all at the outset and the onset of all this that this isn't going to be like Coach Coop Entertainment, okay? Not that anybody can entertain like Coach Coop can, because that young man's got the market cornered on entertainment. But we're just giving you numbers, fancy little stuff. But anyway, let's move on. I do appreciate y'all being here today, by the way. And again, if I've said anything in error, or if y'all have anything to add to any of this stuff in the chat, please chat it up. I want to, just in case y'all missed it, I'm going to put in case anybody wants to join in. And if you do, you do. You don't, you don't. But I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity available, that if I post the link to become a on-screen guest, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't. Just want to make sure you have the opportunity. Okay. Now, your number 11 Miami Hurricanes taking on FAMU. Yeah, like anybody was really worried about this one, huh? Miami pulls out a 48-16 victory against FAMU. It was at home at the Land Shark. Never understood that, but Land Shark, okay. So yeah, it basically, as you can see, there's really not much to discuss in this, Oh, I know, Miss Katie. Were you still in the papoose? No. If you were 6 years old, you're probably you may have been a little too big for the papoose, Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm going to put this up here. So here's the thing, Katie. And that's like I said, like we say every time I do this, is that this is just to kind of refamiliarize people, help teach people, kind of give them because you can go back and look at this all you want to, but this is why we get so, or me personally, I don't want to speak for anybody else but me, but this is why I get so exasperated and frustrated with all this stuff going on, because what's going on right now is the same thing that's been happening. The difference is you got an $8 million coach, you got $1 million quarterback. You still have the same, you still have talent. It's still football. you're still basically, Miami's still basically playing the same kind of competition, technically. You know, that's all. That's why after going through all, and we've just gone from '04 to '09. Don't get me started on the '90s. Okay, that's, maybe we could do a series. Maybe we could do a series, the rise of the giant, the awakening of the giant, the 1990s. I mean, I don't, because I'm telling you, but anyway, that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. What would you say? I was in my going to the games for the junk food stage at that point. I bet you that popcorn and Coke didn't cost no $36. Shoot. Anyway, all right, let's get back on topic here. Let's get back. All right. So basically, as you can see, FAMU got on the board first with the field goal, but then Miami ended up going out to a 38-6 lead. Well, no, I take that back. Yeah, FAMU had another field goal, but I mean, no disrespect to FAMU, but it's Miami FAMU. It's exactly what should have happened. They scored. I'm sure we had some backups put in. I mean, we'll look at the stats, and just like I figured, Miami had the 24 first downs, but FAMU had 14. Now this is okay. Rushing, Miami had 215. FAMU had 118. They both had about the same amount of rushing attempts. Passing. Now this is interesting. This is interesting. Miami had 255 yards passing. FAMU had 144. FAMU was 10 of 25 with an interception. Okay, that's understandable. But again, Mr. Harris was 19 of 27 and two interceptions. Two interceptions. I'm really, this is becoming a theme. But anyway, let's move on. So yeah, Miami outgained FAMU 470 yards to 262 yards, basically a 2-for-1 special. Those of you old enough to remember the blue light special at Kmart, then you're kind of old, because I do too. They both had about the same amount of plays. Miami was outgaining them almost 2-to-1. So let's look at the all-important third down conversion. Look at this. FAMU was 4 of 14. All right. Miami was 5 of 13. 5 of 13. That's not good. Again, third down conversions. We've been talking about this since the onset of this, and we started this. The third down conversion, I think even to this day, the third down conversion still stinks. And no disrespect to FAMU, but I would have thought that they would have gotten at least, if they would have had third downs, they would have gone, probably 10 of 13. Or I would have saw maybe like a 5 of 8. But I mean that's a testament. I believe that's a testament to FAMU. Now, of course, we're going to get to the individual stats, and we'll probably see a lot of second stringers in there. But for FAMU to play against number 11 Miami, and you force them into 13 third downs. You got to give the Rattlers credit on that. You got to, So, yeah, looks like I didn't have any notes on this one. So looking at Miami's numbers, Mr. Barry got in there for 165 yards. Well, he had 3 yards lost. So he had 162 yards. He had a touchdown. He had a run for 49 yards, which probably was a touchdown. Let me come back up here and check. No, he did not. I didn't see it. No. Okay. Anyway, let's get back. Oops. Don't get ahead. All right. So Barry come out. And, of course, like I said, it's FAMU, so a lot of second-teamers are going to get in there. Chambers got 40. He got 38 yards. Even little freshman James got 14. So basically, it looks to me like that. Javars had 1 carry. So yeah, it was more or less they just let the young folks get in there and do their thing. Now, like I said, Mr. Harris had 2 interceptions. He was 16 of 24 for 217. He was sacked once. He had 2 touchdowns, long a pass of 37. And Mr. Highsmith gets in there and goes 3 for 3 for 38 yards, longest of 29. And of course, he was sacked also. So now I don't know if the second string offense was in. I don't know if this was a prequel to the Pinstripe Bowl offensive line, but for Miami to give up 2 quarterback sacks against Florida A&M, I mean, come on, I get no disrespect to FAMU, but there was always this thing about Miami plays down to their competition. And yeah, you're right, Katie. You are absolutely right, young lady. Everybody, it's this when people play Miami, it's their Super Bowl. It's their national championship. And they're going to come out and they're going to play. But unfortunately, sorry, a little hot there, But unfortunately, what happens is Miami comes in and playing FAMU, they're like, we're Miami. They're FAMU. We're just going to win because we're Miami. That's always, they played up to Oklahoma. They didn't play up to Virginia Tech, but they play up to Oklahoma, and then they play down. I say play down, but I'm just saying. And again, honestly, I think I should just give more respect to and compliment Florida A&M for that. This is not I'm not trying to say Miami giving up 2 sacks. I'm not saying it's because Florida A&M ain't worth the flip. I'm just saying, it'd be like, how can I put it in today's perspectives? That would be like Georgia giving up 2 sacks against a Grambling, any of the HBCUs, because that's Florida A&M. But you see where I'm getting at? Just the talent disparity, or the classification disparity, not talent, but classification. All right, I'm getting way too involved in this FAMU game, but it's just something that needs to be talked about. And I'm not saying Miami should come out and beat this team 72-0, but just stay a well-oiled machine. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Now this is impressive. Now, of course, it is a lot of youngsters, but look at these cats getting catches. Streeter gets in there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 12 people getting catches. That's impressive. That still impresses me. That is so cool. Looking at the defense, so it looks like Bowler, he got him a sack. And then Mr. Lane and Mr. Houston, they are accredited for 1 sack. They both got a half sack each. Now, tackle for losses. This is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 tackles for losses. They had 8 tackles for loss for 21 yards. That's crazy. That's crazy. But hey, hats off to A&M. They came out to play, dude. They came out to play. Of course, Miami had 3 sacks. Robinson had a sack. Bailey, of course, Bailey. And then Moncour got him a sack. They did have 11 tackles for losses for 48 yards. So that's to kind of be expected just because of the, classification difference. But you got to give props to Florida A&M on that game. You really have to. You got to. You have to. All right. So that was FAMU. Our next game. Sorry, I was writing something down. The next game, your number 9. Yes, Miami moved up 2 points in the polls, went from 11 to number 9. They are back in the top 10 again, baby. Yes, indeed. Things are getting good. Times are good. Miami the next week are playing the Knights of UCF. All right, UCF, Central Florida. So right now, like I said, Miami's back to number 9. Miami is 5-1. This is their best record best starting 5-1 is their first. They haven't been this successful to start the season since 2005 is what I'm trying to say.
Sorry, Join. It's a spring break, and I had to go to had to work out because I want to make sure that I'm just being the greatest hurricane on the face of the earth. So I had to go work out here during spring break.
Oh my gosh, that is funny. Hey, look, bro, the grind never ends, dude.
We know who's not. We know who's not working out during spring break. I'm not going to say his first name, but his last name is 1419.
That we know of. He could be going by another alias. I don't know. But hey, to each their own. To each their own. All right. So I tell you what, dude, before we go any further, is there anything you want to comment on?
I had it on mute because I had it on mute because I had this long meeting. So I'm like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. So basically, catch you up since you're busy, you're working, you're grinding through the spring break here. You're even working on weekends. How many of our players are working out on the weekends? Okay,
I work every single day. Seriously, because I'm not pitching anything here or getting paid for it, but I do have my own company, right? That does need marketing and stuff, but I'm not gonna go on these. I was. What did that clown say that I go here to to promote? I'm not promoting anything, but I do have things to promote and market, but I am not doing that, and I would not do that to my fellow Canes friends. So,
well, I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, if nothing wrong with bragging on yourself, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. We appreciate it. So basically, to sum up, Miami is 5-1. We're going into week 6. Okay, so they beat Florida State. They finally beat Georgia Tech. Then they go to Virginia Tech and get pummeled.
What happened that game? I forgot. What happened that game?
At Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
Well, it was just bad weather. The weather was wet. It had been raining. Virginia Tech's defense just dominated.
Tyrod Taylor, I hate that.
Yes.
He's still playing, but he was good.
Yeah, it was just Virginia Tech just came out and played Virginia Tech football with the defense, and then of course the next week Miami beats Oklahoma 21-20. And then we just got through talking about the FAMU. I kind of went a little bit long on FAMU because the numbers. I mean, FAMU they played their ass off that game. Now again, Miami was playing a lot of the younger guys, second stringers, et cetera. But, I was talking that I'm not sitting here saying Miami should come out and just pummel FAMU like 84-72 to nothing. No, but just come out and be a well-oiled machine. Just stay productive. Just stay the course. Just do your thing. Don't whatever. But it is what it is. Miami plays down to their competition. They play up to their competition. And when the fine folks like FAMU come into town, or host Miami, they always, it's like it's their national championship, basically. And they're going to come out and they're going to give you everything they got,
Right.
plain and simple. So we are now in game 6 against Central Florida. And like I said, your number 9 Miami Hurricanes. Taking on Central Florida. They pull it out 27-7 in Orlando. I don't think. I mean, what's this guy? I think there's this guy. I heard his name. His coach. I've heard him referred to as Coach Pompano. Coach.
No comment.
I heard him referred to. I think they also call him Coach Hayes. He has a lot of names. I don't think he was up there at the time. I'm just saying. All right. So yeah, Miami comes out. They win 27-7. Now, one thing. Well, no, I'll bring that up when we.
One second, because I'm watching the highlights of the Virginia Tech game. I just want to go back to what I didn't. One thing that Shad said yesterday. That Virginia Tech. I'm sorry if I'm gonna get a little bit, edgy here, but Virginia Tech was doing good because they had black quarterbacks. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
No, seriously though, because at that time, Michael Vick was ahead of his time.
Yeah, Michael Vick, Marcus Vick, Tyrod Taylor.
Vick, Tyrod. I mean, Beamer was on to something, dude.
Yeah, he was on to something.
He was on to something.
And they're all from like the Virginia area, right? Those Virginia black quarterbacks are really damn good. Curry, I forgot he went to North Carolina. He played basketball. He was Mr. Basketball and football. But sorry to get here.
No,
our program is starting to tread away from that. Cam Ward was forced by the fans, just like our coaches, right? So, just I'm not trying to get, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble here, but man, Virginia Tech had the blueprint. I'm sorry to say that.
They did. And no, I mean, you're speaking facts, dude. You're speaking facts because, again, you before Michael Vick, who was doing Michael Vick stuff?
Charlie Ward.
But I still think Vick was better at it. Charlie Ward tried. I mean, no disrespect to Charlie Ward. No disrespect at all. He was doing it, but just it's like Michael Vick was. He was just, but I mean, even before Charlie Ward, you really didn't.
Frazier from Nebraska.
Well, the only thing about Nebraska, in my opinion, is you're going to have running quarterbacks no matter what because of the way their offense is, the options and all that crap. And again, he was good, but I mean, I'm just talking like, like with the Charlie Ward or the Michael Vick or Tyrod or Marcus or whoever, Cam Newton's, excuse me. Gosh. Just to be able, I mean, you could have a design run play. You could, the athleticism that those young men have and had can get them out of trouble. It can get them, like the defense can have them pinned or whatever, and they can get out of trouble. You know what I mean? It kind of, and just kind of extend the play. And that's what made them so difficult to defend. And again, Beamer had a pipeline, dude.
Yeah, he had a pipeline. Yeah,
he did.
Back to original show.
But no, I mean it's a great point. And that's what helped made Virginia Tech so successful back then.
Right.
And I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just telling you how. Usually when Virginia Tech plays, I'm like, okay, do they have, what color skin is their quarterback this year? Tell me they got a white boy back there.
Right.
Just for the simple fact of what, the dark-skinned quarterbacks were doing to Miami's defense and everybody else. It was just the athleticism and I'm just saying, it's crazy. And hats off to Virginia Tech and Beamer, they had the pipeline going. Okay, so where are we at? Where are we at? We are at UCF, correct?
UCF at the
All
Bounce
right.
House.
That's okay. We kind of need a little break in the monotony there. So, And again, I said this isn't going to be glamorous or sexy, but it's a necessary evil. Okay, so like I said, Miami come out, they jump out to a 20, well, they actually jumped out to a 17 nothing lead, and then UCF gets them a touchdown pass. Miami ends up winning 27-7. Looking at the team stats, just as figured, Miami was 26 first downs, basically a 2-1 over UCF on first downs. Now Miami only had 70 yards rushing. UCF had 53. Passing. Well, Mr. Harris did not have any interceptions. He was 20 of 27. He had 293 yards passing. UCF had 176. Now, Miami was averaging almost 11 yards a pass, but they were only averaging about 1.5 yards per rush. UCF was 2.2. So let's go to our favorite stat, third down conversion. Miami was 6 of 13. Still below the 500 mark, but it was close. It was better. UCF was 6 of 15. All right, let's look at the individual numbers here. Now, I will say this. I did see where this Bryn Harvey, this running back for UCF, I did see the previous week he had like 200 and something yards against Memphis, and Miami held him to only 25. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But looking at the Miami numbers, James had 68, Barry had 61. Altogether, well, Mr. Harris, he lost 34 yards. Probably the sacks. Yeah, he was sacked 6 times. Again, this is very interesting. But he did not throw any interceptions. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Looks like Mr. Cooper tried to throw a pass. Didn't work out. But that's basically it. Of course, the quarterback, Mr. Hodges, he was 12 of 27 with 1 interception and 1 touchdown. But yeah, it looks like, just looking at the numbers, because I did watch a little bit of the highlights. I just don't remember exactly what. But it just looks like that defense just harassed them. I mean, 6 sacks. Come on now. Kind of crazy. Looks like Mr. Spence had him 2 sacks. Hogue had 2 sacks for UCF. Nall, Miller, and Williams had a sack. And Mr. Gathers had a sack. So that's 6 sacks for 41 yards lost. And that's basically UCF. So right now, let me remove this. So right now, Miami is sitting at what they at? 5 and no, they let's see.
Something in 1.
They're 5 and 1. Yeah, they're 5 and 1, so they're 6 and 1. No, yeah. Well, these numbers aren't right on here, because they beat. The only game they lost was Virginia Tech. So yeah, they're they went 5 and 1 after this game. That's right, 5 and 1. Get your numbers right, dude. See, it's messing me up now. So yeah, they're 5 and 1. Let's see here. Ooh, this next game. The next game. Let me bring this up. Your number 8. Miami is up to number 8 in the rankings. AP poll here. Number 8. Take on the Clemson Tigers. Now, this 2009 season is Dabo Swinney's first full season as head coach of Clemson. 2008, I think he was like an interim head coach. I think near the end, that doesn't matter. But this is Dabo, Mr. Dabo. This is his first year at Clemson. Uh, I will say that this game did go to overtime, and Miami fell short 40-37 at home to Clemson. Number 8 Miami loses. I believe Clemson was 3-3 that game, and they were 2-2 in the ACC. And it was basically just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But the
CJ Spiller.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Oh, he killed us. Oh Lord.
9-yard kickoff return. I mean, it was. I'm gonna get to those numbers in just a second. Oh, but one thing that when I was watching some of the highlights of it, that the play that Clemson scored on this this 26-yard pass here, it was crazy. It was crazy because the guy caught the ball, and it looks like I don't know if I got these right. I think I may get them wrong. If I got it wrong, y'all let me know. But at the end of the play, Talamac, number 7, was going to, converge, and he fell over DeMarcus Van Dyke. What happened? DeMarcus Van Dyke was trying to tackle the player, and as Talamac was coming over there to do the same, he fell over DeMarcus Van Dyke, and so that allowed the receiver to walk into the end zone untouched. I just thought that was crazy because they were both trying to make the play. But that was one thing that kind of stuck out to me. But
I'm watching the highlights right now. You know that Dabo runs the same tight end slip against us every time we play against them?
as long as it works.
He did, but the 2009, he ran the same play that always gets us that tight end slip.
Right.
It's funny because he's looking at our programs. You guys are a bunch of idiots. I run this same play every single time I play against you guys, and you never pick up on it.
I mean, what's his best? Is what, 14 years now?
Wow, he's running the same bleeping play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good stuff here, dude. Good stuff. And people wonder why we are not, sipping more Kool-Aid with Mario and everybody, because we see the same thing over and over again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Defense nobody can stop to look at tape. I mean, how long did it take you to realize that Dabo was running the same tight end play? Took you what? A couple of seconds watching it?
Couple of seconds.
Yeah. You got people making millions of dollars can't even do that. But I digress. Let's get back on target here. So looking at the team stats, first downs are pretty close. Now, Miami outrushed Clemson. Miami had 177 yards to Clemson's 84. Passing. Clemson had 326. Miami had 256. Now, 3 interceptions for Miami. 17 of 20. Let me make sure. Yeah, Mr. Harris. I just want to make sure there was nothing else going on. Mr. Harris went 17 of 27 and 3 interceptions. Pretty sure that had a lot to do with things. But, Miami was averaging 15 yards a catch, and Clemson was averaging 13. Now, total offense, this is interesting. Of course, 3 interceptions will help Clemson stay in the game, but, Clemson had 410 yards. Miami had 433. Let's go to our thing. Okay, so Miami was 8 of 14 on third down, but Clemson was 7 of 14. So not bad on the third down conversion. All right, so let's look at the individual numbers here. I mean, Cooper come out. He had 99 yards rushing. James had 56. Mr. Barry come out had 55. I mean, that's 210 yards rushing, dude. You know, but with Mr. Harris throwing the 3 interceptions or having 3 interceptions to his name, it doesn't really help. Now, of course, as you can see, everybody got some touches, even though freshman James had -3 yards receiving, but that's of no consequence. Now, Hankerson had 5 catches for 87 yards. Benjamin had 3 for 82 with a 69 yard and a touchdown. Hankerson had a touchdown. But,
Hankerson never trained during the offseason, during the spring break, by the way.
well, yeah, because he was under a previous administration. If he'd have been with Mario, they'd have been training. That's right. Anyway, but yeah, Spiller. I mean, he had 14 carries for 81 yards. He had one play that was lost, but yeah, that was, CJ Spiller was basically the rusher, and then he kind of had 6 receptions for 104 yards. You had Mr. Parker was 25 of 37. He did have 1 interception, but he threw for 326 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Now, he was sacked twice. Harris was sacked 3 times. But, I mean, just looking at the numbers, I mean, when you give up that many sacks and you let all this happen with Clemson, usually that's what's going to happen. Looking at the Clemson defense, there's your 3 sacks right there: Gilchrist, May, and Sapp. Looks like Mr. Bailey got his. He had 2 sacks for 38 yards, so he got his money's worth on that. But again, Miami comes up. They're number 8, and they lose. When they play Virginia Tech, they moved up to number 9. They lose. So something about being in the top 10 that this team just really doesn't like this year. I don't get it.
What it is, it's something that plagues our program. When we are doing good, we start feeling ourselves a little bit too much, right? Like, we just like after the Texas A&M game. Oh, we're back. Not the whole we're back thing, but we're good. We don't have to practice hard anymore. It's that type of mentality. Because I'm watching the highlights now, and Clemson was down. I need this program to understand. I know nobody's, well, hopefully somebody in this, program's listening to us. Understand that teams, yes, we're not what we used to be, but beating Miami means something, right?
Oh, yeah.
I see the joy from Dabo after this game. Like, I did something major,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
mean, yeah.
and I don't think our program understands that, And I'm looking at these highlights. This team is full with NFL players, right? But we just refuse to understand, like, what the hell, like at all times play hard. I hate when we do that vanilla crap. I hate when we run the ball at the end if we're blowing the team out.
Right.
No, blow these teams out. Like right now, I see Alan Bailey sack their quarterback, and Marcus Robinson picks up the ball and runs it back for a touchdown. I think we just stop being aggressive. Like
They took the foot off the gas.
Yes, this is this is the thing that disappoints me about Mario. Is like, Mario, you are a hurricane. You know how much this program is hated by the nation, right? Like, go and kill these teams.
I mean, they're going to hate us anyway.
Yeah, they're going to hate us anyway. So it's like, you might as well go ahead and just, blow these teams out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Katie's got a message for you. She says,
they
they put the score on the, yeah, I mean, hey, And that's the crazy. I'm glad you brought that up, Cuban, in that, you know, even to this day, you know, to this day, people still come in, give it their 100%, and beat Miami at Miami, and they still think that's something. So, you know, the use. I'm not quoting Mario, but you know, the U carries weight, brother.
It does. It does. He's right about that. But
And if
make it.
that's the truth, and if that is true, then why are we still wash, rinse, and repeat? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
They want to talk about the you this, the you that, the you is what. But what have you done for me lately? And
Yeah.
when I say lately, we're on this journey. You know, it's crazy. You know, it just you're right. They have and had a bad habit of, you know, first off, Clemson was just the middle of the road team, and the, you know, Miami's had these victories, they're in the top 10, and then they just don't take the foot off the gas, and they do
Yeah.
that now, you know.
Yeah.
Uh but you know it, and people wonder why we're not really drinking the Kool-Aid, you know. We drank the Kool-Aid before, and it was a lot better back then, and then it just got sour, and now it's like I don't want none of that. Thank you very much,
I don't want to spoil the end of the show, but I would pick this roster anytime, any day over our current roster.
dude.
Wow, this I'm looking this Travis Benjamin, Hankerson, like this. You know what? I would hire Whipple as the offensive coordinator because he threw the ball deep. He didn't do this screen pass
Right.
stuff. I
I
would
mean,
hire Whipple.
I know we are going to get to it, but I mean, you think about it. Since we've started this journey, okay, with the exception of some of the quarterback play, every season those guys seem to be damn near an upgrade over. You know, it's you see what I'm getting at. In other words, I agree with you. I mean, it's like, man, you see this and you're like, man, what in the world?
How did we lose this game again? I'm looking at this Clemson game. We intercepted the ball with 5 minutes left. What the hell happened? Oh man, this damn program.
It just, you know, you had it looks like,
And Dabo just smiling his face off.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it just, and again, uh, no disrespect to Mr. Harris, but at that time, I mean, that's really all we had. But then again, I don't know. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but you know, he's just a sophomore, man. He's no 8 for 23. You know, you know, I'd hate to have seen if Emory played back in 2009. Mr. Harris would have never saw the field.
Right.
I digress. Uh-oh, Katie's got something here. Don't laugh at me, but imagine what Mike Bobo could do with this year's offensive personnel. You know, you're right. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so let's we got just a few more games left and this pain will be over. All right, so our next game, your now number 18 Miami Hurricanes take on Wake Forest. And ooh, it was a little close game there. It was close. It was close. They played at Wake Forest at BB&T Field. I ain't gonna tell you what I thought of when I saw that, but they played in Winston-Salem. BB&T. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you know, it looks like again Wake Forest jumped out to a 17-0 lead. Matter of fact, Miami. It looks like Miami. Yeah, Miami trailed 27-14 going into the fourth quarter. It had the makings, but luckily Miami scored, and then you know, Mr. Benjamin caught that 13-yard pass with what's that, at about a minute '08 left in the game. Do 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 do. Well, this is interesting. So first downs, Wake Forest had 33 first downs to Miami's 19. Rushing yards, Miami. This is why I show the numbers, because if I'd have said this, nobody would have believed me. So Miami had 26 yards rushing. Wake Forest had 147. And Miami had 21 rushing attempts to Wake Forest's 33 attempts. I mean, Miami was only getting like a yard every rushing play, while Wake Forest was getting 4.5. I mean, that's a 4-to-1 ratio, dude. 4-to-1 on rushing. Passing. Mr. Harris was 22 of 43. Another had an interception, but he did have 330 yards passing. But Wake Forest, they had 400 yards passing. The quarterback was 35 of 53. So not only did they get some rushing yards, they got 408 yards passing on 53 pass attempts. They only completed 35, but 53. Oh, man, this is crazy. Total yardage, Wake Forest outgained Miami in total yards 555 to 356. Now, I'm going back up. I need to see something. So, yeah. Okay, at the time, Wake Forest was 4-4, and they were 2-2, a 500 team. And they were doing this offensively against Miami's defense. It blows my mind, because here again, here we are. Miami got 26 yards rushing against the Wake Forest, but just a few weeks ago, prior to this, James runs for a career high against the nation's top rush defense at Oklahoma. It don't get it. Okay, moving on. Third down conversion. Miami was 4 of 14. Wake Forest was 7 of 16. So, but they were both 1 of 1 on fourth down. So that's pretty good. All right, so let's see what the numbers tell us individually wise here. So it looks like Mr. Cooper had 6 rushes for 27. Mr. Berry had 7 for 26. Even Mr. Benjamin got into the game rushing the ball with 10 yards. And Mr. Harris, not picking on him, just giving you the facts, ma'am. Just giving you the facts. 22 of 43, 1 interception. We talked about that. 330 yards. We talked about that. He had 3 touchdowns, but he was sacked 5 times. 5 times. Wake Forest's numbers, they were pretty solid. They had, like I said, they had a 147 yards rushing, 33 attempts. Looks like Adams and Skinner and Pendergrass had some good numbers. Quarterback-wise, it looks like they used 3 different quarterbacks, but Skinner lit it up. He had 2 touchdowns, 29 of 43 with an interception, 349. We talked about that a while ago. But then McManus he was 5 of 9 for 42. And Mr. Williams was 1 of 1 for 17. Skinner was sacked twice. Now, I will say, again, the ball was passed around. I mean, it was distributed. Hankerson, he had 5 catches for 97 yards. All right. Collier had 4 for 78. Y'all can see it. But, 5 sacks, an interception. That's the wrong one. You popped in on me there. Yeah, when a team has 33 first down, yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, and Katie, yeah, Mario was rebuilding. Oh yeah, he was trying to get them to trust the process down there at FIU. I tell you that Katie, I think Katie's one of those closet Mario
FIU had a
supporters.
bad culture.
I have yet to hear anybody still define what culture is. In other words, what because we were talking the other day about culture being an intangible thing. So
Well,
it's easy.
when I hear the bull, the BS about the culture is getting better, I'm like, look, there's only one way a culture is getting better, and that's a winning culture, right? So
Right.
you cannot tell me the culture is getting better because we are still losing. So the culture, the culture cannot get better officially till next year. Because right now, if you're telling me the culture is getting better, we still have a losing culture.
Yeah. In the big games. And
In
this
general,
is
in the program.
well, yeah, in general, but I mean, I shouldn't say big games. I'm talking and even like when we have the alleged lesser competition, they still play down. Yeah, it's wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Uh-oh. Shad has late breaking news. Culture is built during spring break. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Spring break is where it's at. All right, let's finish. Let's finish this Wake Forest because you know what, fellas and girls, guys and girls, it only gets better from here. All right. So it looks like Mr. Bailey. Bailey has been getting some sacks, boy. He has been doing it. Now, Wake Forest, Urban and Orange, they combined for what, 4 sacks, and then Russell had him a sack. Easy, Katie. Don't feed his ego. Don't feed Shad's ego. But no, it's right. I mean, and we all feel that way, I'm sure. So yeah, so that's Wake Forest. I'm just gonna get that out of here. I don't feel like looking at that anymore. Uh so yeah, I mean they escaped. They escaped with a Miami escaped with the victory. I still don't understand how, but they did. Uh so the next game, let me let me get this up here. Boom. All right. Your number 16 Miami Hurricanes. They went from 18 to 16 with that thrilling victory over Wake Forest the week before. Your number 16 Miami Hurricanes take on the Cavaliers of Virginia. The suspense is killing you. And what happens? They come out and win 52 to 17. you know, let's just move on because this is what we got here.
That's that whipper ball.
Let's see. What did Shad say? Randy didn't work out during spring break as a player, so you know his player. Uh, Randy was working. Mr. Shannon was working as a player. He was the bag man. All right, let's move on. So you basically had a 3-5 Virginia. 2-2 in the ACC, and kind of like Wake Forest, kind of like Clemson, you know, kind of middle of the road, nothing fancy. But this time Miami takes care of business, 52 to 17. Uh, yeah, one thing I do want to highlight on this is Mr. Collier. Theron had a 60-yard punt return, which actually at the time gave Miami the lead in the first quarter. So it basically looks like it was a shootout in the first quarter. And then slowly Miami pulled away. But I thought that 60-yard punt from Mr. Collier needed to be called out. So yeah, it looks like once he got that punt, it all just, Miami finally got their act together. So looking at the team stats again, Miami had 27 first downs. UVA only had 10. Yep, he definitely worked out on spring break, 60 yards. Awesome. Hey, but it was a different culture back then. Different culture. Anyway, moving on. So this is impressive also. Miami outrushed Virginia 268-74, which the score is indicative of that. Miami did rush the ball 49 times. They averaged about 5.5 yards. So the running game was doing its thing. Passing. Now this is even impressive too. Virginia, they were 11 of 29 with the interception for 75 yards passing, while Mr. Harris was 19 of 34 with an interception for 247 yards passing. So looking at the numbers, you can see the defense was in control, Total offense, here you go. I mean, again, this is what you would expect in a, 52-17 game. 515 yards for Miami, 149 for Virginia. Okay, where was this defensive effort the last few weeks or three, Let's look at the important third down conversion. Now, look at this. Virginia was 2 of 12. That's good defense right there. Miami was 8 of 14. So at least they were over 500. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. Now this is impressive. Miami was in the red zone 6 times and scored 6 times. They both had 2 sacks. So let's look at the individual numbers. See if this tells us anything. And I don't know if I brought this up. I probably didn't. But yeah, this Mr. Cooper, this running back, Mr. Cooper, he was a freshman in this year. He was a true freshman. No, he wasn't. He was a second year. He was a sophomore. Anyway, regardless of the fact, this young man, Mr. Greg Cooper, 18 rushes for 152 yards. This was a career best for Mr. Cooper to this point, 152 yards. Looks like Mr. Chambers got in the act with 67, Mr. Berry with 56. Again, it looks like with Mr. Harris being sacked twice for a -25, that brought the rushing from 303 to 268. So that's pretty darn impressive right there. I mean, look at this. Look at the receiving. Look at this. That's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13 different people. Be nice to see that again. Nobody had any real gaudy numbers receiving, but look at all the different people getting touches, though. That is impressive. So, looking at Virginia, it looks like their only bright spot was Mr. Jackson. He had 8 rushes for 77 yards with a touchdown, averaging 9.6 yards a carry. So when he got he was able to do his thing when he was able to do his thing. But Verica, I almost said Veronica. Verica was 11 of 29 for 75 yards. So the passing game really Oh, that's probably I don't know. It wasn't Tito or Michael. Oh, now when you say he ain't no Mark Fletcher or Chavante Citizen, are you talking about Mr. Greg Cooper? I'm assuming, because I was in the middle of looking at the screen and the numbers. I didn't really get a chance. Oh, Freddie Jackson. Oh, so anyway. Looking at the defense. Oh yeah, Greg Cooper. I tell you what, when we get to the end of this, I'll give you my opinions on all of this. All right, so Virginia, Mr. Johnson had 2 sacks for 25 yards. Oh, he got his money's worth on those sacks. Looks like Mr. Robinson and Mr. Wesley both had some sacks. So, yeah. So really, in a nutshell, Miami just come out. They took care of business against Virginia, something they should have been doing the last few weeks. All right. Wait a minute. I missed something. Oh, I forgot a game. Hang on. I gotta pull up the because this is the game against North Carolina. Why did I not bring up the? Hang on, y'all bear with me. I forgot to bring this up. All right, there it is. All right. I had all the summaries for all the other games, but I didn't have the North Carolina, and this is one of our anticipated games that we always want to see. It's always North Butch and North Carolina. All right.
Pass.
All right. You're now number 12. From number 16 to number 12, your number 12 Miami Hurricanes are taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't want to do this. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. You just got to do it. And Miami loses 33-24. Yeah. And this was basically a 6-3 North Carolina team, a 2-3 ACC record. So it basically, from what I saw, and we'll get into that in a second. So, North Carolina just came out and they scored when they wanted to. They scored how they wanted to. There was this gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Bernie. Mr. Bernie. This was like weekend at Bernie's. He had 3 interceptions. All right. Bernie had 3 interceptions on this game. He had one that he ran back for 77 yards for a touchdown. Okay. At the time, Miami's only down 13-7. But 77-yard interception return. And then this right here. The this 44-yard interception return, which basically what happened was Bernie had his 3rd interception. And as he was returning it, I'm going to show you my face on this one. I can't just talk this one out. So when Bernie's running the ball back, he fumbled the ball forward, and lo and behold, Mr. Melvin Williams, the fumble went forward. The fumble went forward, as you know, his arm was as Mr. Bernie's arm was going forward, he fumbled it forward to Mr. Melvin Williams, who happened to be one of Bernie's friends. And Mr. Bernie had told him, look, if I get an interception, I'm going to hand it off to you so you can score. Anyway, it was ruled a fumble. Melvin got the ball and went 44 yards for the touchdown. To this day, it's not a fumble. I'm sorry. It wasn't pass interference in 03, and it was Cleveland Gary did not fumble, and this was not a fumble. Oh my gosh, one thing, Yeah, Katie says, one thing about Butch, you knew what you were getting when you, oh yeah, probation. You're right. Oh. I'm glad you brought this up. Shad, because there was, and it's just, again, speculation. I've seen it out there in cyberspace that well, it's a very few. I don't know how I come across it, but some people have the thinking that maybe TVD was gambling on the Miami games. I don't agree with it, but I'm just throwing it out there because you said
He did not get an NIL deal.
Who, Jakari?
No, the person who reported that.
Oh. Again, now, and the only reason why I'm saying it, I mean, it was just because Shad was saying that stuff, but it was just one of those off the wall. It's just something you see. You know what I mean? You see a lot of stuff, and I don't know. There really isn't any proof, but they just had brought that up. But okay, let's get back to this debacle, which was the North Carolina game. Miami tried to make something out of this. Let me put up the numbers here. So, looking at the numbers, and this is bizarre. So, Miami had 24 first downs. North Carolina only had 17. All right. Rushing. They both had the same amount of rushing yards. Now, North Carolina had a few more attempts. Their yards per rush were basically the same. Miami had 2 rushing touchdowns.
South Coast, I got to clock out. I'll be listening, but I have to go.
Okay, hey, no problem, dude. As always,
Midday is tough, yeah.
I know, but I wanted to get this in, but I appreciate you spending your time that you could, bro. Always a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, so, Vinny gambled on the Penn State game. So Jakari, he was 28 of 51 for 319 yards passing, but those 4 interceptions that led to, the two touchdowns, et cetera. But North Carolina, I guess they didn't really have to do much if you've returned all these interceptions, But, North Carolina was, I think that was Yates, I believe that's who was the quarterback, but we'll find out shortly. North Carolina was 17 of 31 on passing for 213. The Mafia met with Jakari oh my Lord. All right, so let's see here. You know what I'm looking for? Third down conversions. Let's see. Miami's on the left. That's right. Okay, so Miami was 4 of 13 on third down conversions. 4 of 13. And the crazy thing is, North Carolina was 4 of 14. Those turnovers, those INTs killed us. Now let's look at the numbers. All right, so Mr. Cooper, had 67 yards. Mr. Barry had 41 yards. Looks like Bosher even ran the ball on a fake. Anyway, so yeah, here it is right here. Mr. Harris was 28 of 50, 4 interceptions. He had 2 sacks. All right. He had 1 touchdown. He did 319 yards, but those 4 interceptions, which led to 14 points at least. All right. Well, they probably led to more, but, you had the 2 runbacks. But, again, look at this receiving. Again, everybody, multiple, that's, get that right here. That's 9 different people getting touches. Hankerson had 92 yards. Truckin' Chubsy. I'm going to try to be done with this before your show, so Hankerson had 7 receptions for 92 yards. Cooper, 37. Bird, 61, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, you come over here to North Carolina side. Russian, you had Mr. Houston was 24 with 30 for 83 yards. Well, 76. He had some tackle for losses on him, apparently. But, again, the quarterback, Yates, I was right, it's T.J. Yates. He was 17 of 31 for 213, 1 touchdown. The longest pass play he had was 29 yards. 29 yards. So, yeah, the turnovers killing them, dude. The turnovers are killing them. Look at Miami. Mr. Holmes had 1 sack. We only had 4 sacks for losses. Or four tackles for losses for 12 yards. Lost 12 yards. But, Mr. Powell and Mr. Copels, they both had sacks. But this right here, North Carolina had 6 tackles for loss for 24 yards. You take that coupled with the 4 interceptions, and it's a recipe for disaster. Plain and simple. You cannot be successful playing like that. And of course, it was UNC, so. Oh, man. Oh, man. Crazy. And Miami was starting to trend back up to the top 10 for the 3rd time. They already made it up to 9. Lost to Virginia Tech. They make it back to 9. They actually make it to 8. They get humbled by Clemson. They make it back to number 12. And UNC took care of business. They had their chances. But you know what? It is what it is. That's just how it is. That's how it was. All right. Now, next game. Your number 20. That's right. Number 20. Miami Hurricanes. They were number 12. Now they're your number 20. Still top 20 team. Top 20 team taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Blue Devils. Being in the top is instant gratification. Hey. Apparently, they were just all up and down. Okay, so let's get to this game. Because this is game number 11. Uh-oh. And Miami comes out, takes care of business 34-16. Now again, Duke come in. This seems to be a trend going on, people. Duke came in at 5-5. Okay, 500 team, 500 in the ACC, kind of like what the last, other teams were. It's not like we're playing undefeated teams. Miami hasn't played a ranked opponent since number 8 Oklahoma in week 4. So you do the math. Oh, Shad, it's now. All right, so just looking at this, do I have any game notes here? Yeah. So as you can see, Snyder Wine. Wow, I like that name. Look at that. Look at that. Snyder Wine. So basically, according to my notes here, as you can see, Duke Duke was up 16-10 with 11 minutes left in the third quarter. I mean, they had a 13-10 lead at halftime. This is Duke. All right, no disrespect to Duke, but well, yeah, I know, Shad. They didn't have time to work out because they were, you know, playing basketball. They're playing basketball. Y'all don't know about that. Anyway, yeah, they were too busy playing basketball. They didn't have time to practice in the spring break in football. But anyway, so yeah. So what I'm getting at is, yeah, Duke had that 16-10 lead, low, near the first part of the third quarter. Curtis Blow, ding, ding, ding. Good job. No, was that Curtis Blow? Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah, you're right because I was thinking of something, but Chub Z. So I'm talking about it. You ain't that old, but I understand. Okay, so let's get back on target. Back on target here. Let's keep it on the rails, fellas. All right. So, like I said, Duke is up 16-10 with 11 minutes left in the third quarter. Then all of a sudden, Miami turned the light switch on. And basically, Miami went on a 24-point spree. You see, they had that field goal. All right, Duke had the field goal by Schneiderwine. That's got to be one of the best. That's got to be one of the best kicker names or football names I've seen. Schneiderwine. What'd you say, Katie? Working out over spring break keeps players out of jail. Okay. So, yeah, they had that field goal, and then it's just, like I said, Miami turned the lights on and just came out with 24 unanswered points. And also in that time, after this third quarter field goal right here, for the next quarter and a half, Miami ended up outgaining Duke 252 to 118 in yardage. Oh yeah, they fought back, dude. I mean, I don't know what happened on the sideline, but whatever it was, it's like a light switch went off and it was a whole different team. I guess adjustments were made. Maybe we had some coordinators on offense and defense. I don't know. All right. So looking at the numbers for the team summary of 25 first downs to 18. Look at this. Look at this right here. Come on, get your stuff together. There you go. Miami outrushed Duke 148 to 55. I mean, that's impressive. Now, again, Duke only had 22 attempts, but Miami had 44. So apparently they decided they're going to start running the ball. Miami was 3.4 per rush. Duke was only 2.5, but I'm sure a lot of that was probably before Miami went on that 24-0 run. Looking at the passing, you got, I'll highlight this. So you got Miami, Ja'Cory was 25 of 43, another interception. 348 against Duke's 303. They were 20 of 37 with an interception. They both Miami and Duke were averaging 8 yards a pop on pass. Okay. But altogether, thanks to the running game, I think the running game is what probably did it. But anyway, Miami outgained them. Like I said, in the last quarter and a half, they got 252 of those 496 yards. And, in the last quarter and a half, Duke got 118 of that 358. So take that for what it's worth. Now, the stat that I'm always. Oh, hang on, Chubsy. We're gonna get there. As a matter of fact, it'll be the next slide. So you know what I go for. Miami was 14 of 21 on third downs. Wow. Wow. First, I mean, they had 21 third downs, but dude, 14 of 21? That's the best third down conversion we've had in a while. You know, Duke was only 3 of 12. So I'm like, wow. All right, Chubbsy, here you are. Here you are. Here you are. So, looking at the rushing, Damian Barry had 16 for 76. Mr. Greg Cooper had 14 rushes for 42. Javaris James had 9 for 33. And of course, Mr. Harris had a minus 11 because of the sack he had. And here's Mr. Harris's numbers. Highlight that right quick. So Mr. Harris was 25 of 43 with 1 interception, almost 3.5 yards passing, 2 touchdowns with the longest pass of 52 yards. Of course, he had the sack. Again, look at this. Look, we've been saying this all season. Mr. Harris is passing it. He's passing it around. A lot of different people getting touches. That's something that has been sorely missed here lately at the University of Miami. You know, if we can get that many guys involved in touches, just saying. So looking at Duke, Hollingsworth. Name so long they didn't even put the first name. Hollingsworth had 10 rushes for 32. D. Scott had 10 for 27. Mr. Lewis, 20 of 37. Passing with the interception. 303 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had a sack. He had the longest of 64. It looks like Mr. Varner. Mr. Varner for Duke. He was their workhorse in the passing game. Thought I hit highlight, but he had 8 catches for 165 and a touchdown. Looking at our defensive stats right quick. I don't know if I can say this name. Rabu Kamba. Did I say that halfway decent? We'll just call him Rumba. How about the Rumba? Mr. Rumba. No disrespect, but I don't want to butcher your name. He had a sack for 4-yard loss. Duke did have 3 tackles for loss for 10 yards. Miami didn't get 1 sack that game. Not 1 sack. But they did have 4 tackles for loss for 11 yards. So, yeah, basically in that one, the light switch went off. All right, the light switch went off, and they just decided to, okay, let's rock and roll. So, this is going to bring us to our last game. Hang on, what did I missed something. I meant to, and the Duke game. Excuse me. In the Duke game, that was the last home game of the 09 season, and I didn't even look at these notes. I do apologize, but Daryl Sharpton, he had a 73-yard interception for a touchdown return. Hankerson, my man Hankerson, had a career best 8 catches for 143 yards, and of course I said he had a 44-yard touchdown catch, and of course I talked to y'all about the lead. So, All right, so this brings us to our last game of the 09 season. Last game of the 09 season. Your number 19 Miami Hurricanes, who were 20 last week, they moved up one. Your number 19 Miami Hurricanes take on the Bulls of USF in Tampa, home of the quarterback who went to Purdue. All right, let's hang in there. I know we've been on here for a little while, but we're at the last game of the season. All right. Miami pulls it out 31-10. 31-10 at Raymond James. So here we are. You know, Miami basically just came out, took care of some business. I don't have any notes on this. It was just, you know, Miami come out. I mean, because South Florida was 7-3 coming into this game. You know, Miami was 8-3 coming into the game. So who knows what could have happened. But as you can see, Miami came out, you know, they never really were threatened that much. Like I said, they pulled it out 31-10. You know, looking at the numbers, Miami outdid USF 2-1 on first downs. Miami had 22, USF 11. You know, Miami had the 240 yards rushing on 49 attempts to USF had 143 yards rushing on 39 attempts. Passing. This is crazy. Mr. Harris was 11 of 22 for 161. All right. No interceptions. No interception. He was averaging 7.3 yards a pass. Now, this is interesting. USF, 6 of 16 with 1 interception for 77 yards. They only had like 4.8 per attempt. So, and we're going to find out what happened. Now, you know what I'm looking for. That's right. Third down conversions. Miami was 6 of 14. Back to what we're all used to. That's what we're used to seeing out this Miami Hurricanes team. 6 of 14. Duke was 5 of 13. So, defense did pretty good. So, let's look and see what happened here. Sorry, I had to cough. I didn't want to do it in the microphone. Okay, so looking at our rushing yards we were talking about. Mr. Damian Berry, 12 rushing attempts for 114. Mr. Cooper had 16 touches for 83 yards. He did have a 2-yard loss. But Mr. Javars, he had 11 for 37, but he did have 2 touchdowns. So, passing, like I said, Mr. Harris come in 11 of 21. He was 161, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked one time with a 33-yard pass was the longest. And again, look at this. Look. That was like 2 passes to the tight ends. Look at the touches. 2, 4, 6. That's 8 different people touching the ball, receiving. Okay? It seems to be a common thing. Looks like the highlight for USF was Plancher, or is that Planchier? I'm not sure. He had 78 yards rushing. BJ and the Bear Daniels had 39. If you know about BJ and the Bear, you all right. Then we had some other little other ones, but like I said, BJ and the Bear Daniels, he was sacked 3 times. Receiving, nobody got over 21 yards, so it was a good defensive battle there for Miami. So looking at the defense, McCarthy had a sack. Mr. Wesley had a sack. Mr. Spence had a sack. The defense had 9 tackles for loss for 36 yards, which is pretty cool. Pierre Paul got him a sack. And then, USF, they had 7 tackles for losses for 15-yard losses. So, that concludes the 2009 regular season. Okay. So this I need to let's see here. Hang on. I'm gonna close that. Nope. It's asking me if I want all these highlights I did. It's asking if I want to save them. I don't want to save all those changes. Come on. There we go. So, give me just a moment. I just realized that I did not pull up what I needed to pull up, which is y'all just bear with me for a second. Bear with me. There it is. There it is. Whoops. Let me zoom this in. I'm trying to get my stuff together because I was supposed to I didn't get my 2009 year-end stats up. Okay, we got it now. All right, so this brings us to the bowl season. I do apologize. Miami finished 9-3. They finished the season ranked number 14, if I ain't mistaken. And they got the invite to the Champs Sports Bowl in Orlando against the Wisconsin Badgers. So your number 14 Miami Hurricanes, who were 19 before USF, so they went up 5 places, take on the number 24 ranked Wisconsin Badgers in the Champs Sports Bowl in Orlando. So I am going to stop that, and I am going to share my Champs Bowl screen. Here we go. All right. So it's Miami versus Wisconsin. Of course, Miami loses the game 20-14. They finish at 9-4 for the year because they were hoping to get 10 wins. Unfortunately, they went 9-4. And yes, as you can see, I'm using the sports-reference website because the collegepressbox.com website, all they had was up to the end of the season, but come to find out they didn't have anything on 09 from Wisconsin. So therefore, they couldn't have anything for the bowl game. So I do apologize for the change in venue, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, so one thing about this, some game notes I will tell you about here is this was the first home. This is the first time Miami played a bowl game in Florida in about 6 years. And from what I saw, it was the 2003 Orange Bowl. So this is the first time Miami has been in a bowl game in the state of Florida since 2003. So yeah, as you can see, Miami does lose 24-14. One thing I do remember about this game was the opening kickoff. The ball, I had to write this down because I wanted to make sure I got this right. So the opening kickoff, Greg Cooper gets the opening kickoff. A little razzle-dazzle with Sam Shields coming around. Cooper hands it off to Shields. Shields goes down the field, down the sideline for a kick return touchdown, the opening kickoff. But flag on the play. Okay, I don't remember exactly how long the return was. It was probably about 80 yards, give or take. But Mr. Corey Nelms, number 38, decided, hey, we're already down to the 5-yard line. Let me go ahead and get a block in the back in front of God and everybody. As Shields is crossing the end zone, the goal line, Mr. Nelms decides to do a block in the back, an unnecessary block in the back. All that for naught. For naught. It was a wonderful play. But luckily, on the first play of scrimmage for Miami, after that, Cooper ran the ball for like a 16-yard touchdown. And honestly, that was really about the extent of it. Wisconsin came back and just scored 2 touchdowns. John Clay, remember that name? Keep it in the back of your mind. John Clay had 2 touchdowns, and then Mr. Welch had a field goal, and then he had another field goal, and then Mr. Theron Collier, he had a touchdown pass, which it's like a minute 22 left, so it just made it respectable. You know what? Let's see something here. Can I make this a little bit? Oops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. Make that a little bit bigger for y'all. Maybe y'all can see that a little bit better. I apologize for y'all having to squint. Now, these stats are going to be a little different than what we were seeing, so it is what it is. So, as you can see, basically, they both had almost the same first downs, but Wisconsin had 42 rushes. Okay. 42 rushes for 170 yards. That's the kind of stuff that makes Mario get all giddy like a schoolgirl, you know. What you say here, Miss Katie? This is all interesting because now to be considered a big dog, you got to win 10 minimum. Anything less, and you're running them. Now, I will say, yeah, now, but you know, back then in 2009, I mean, again, Miami is only 7 years removed from that debacle in the 2002 season where they went undefeated. 7 years. That's, it's starting to add up. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. So, yeah, Wisconsin, they passed 19 of 26 for 260 with the interception. They had a total 430 yards of offense. They did have 2 fumbles and lost both of them. So that gave them 2 fumbles and an interception with 3 turnovers. You would have thought, hey, they shouldn't have won that game. But Miami had 23 rushing attempts for 61 yards and this 1 touchdown. 61 yards. Mr. Harris was 16 of 30, 188, and 1 touchdown, but no interception. No interception. They had 1 fumble that they lost, but they had a fumble they kept. So they only had 1 turnover. So looking at the passing, I just talked about that. Looks like Mr. Cooper had a chance to throw the pass. For Wisconsin, Scott Tolzien, like I said, he was that 19 of 26. I mean, he was averaging 8.3 yards a pass, or 10 yards, and then Jacory was only 6.5. But anyway, I think I read that right. So looking at the rushing yards, Cooper had 5 attempts for 29. Mr. Berry had 4 for 29. James and Collier had like 1 yard for James, 3 for Collier. All right. Receiving, again, everybody got a piece of the action. Nothing really outstanding. I mean, Streeter had that 1 for 47. Mr. Graham had 3 for 30. Mr. Theron Collier had 5 for 41, but, it just wasn't enough. Looks like Mr. Clay, the running back, 22 attempts for 121. He was averaging 5.5 yards a carry. He had 2 touchdowns. He did have a reception. Now, looks like Mr. Kendricks for Wisconsin had one hell of a game, one hell of a day receiving. He was 7 catches for 128. He didn't have any touchdowns, but, you know, the defense just shut him down. Looks like Mr. Regis, he had an interception. Vernon had a sack. Looks like we had a few tackles for losses, but let's see. I hate doing this change up. I like that press box covered stats so much better. But I'm just trying to do what I can here. Let's see. O'Brien Schofield had 2 sacks. J.J. Watt. Anybody know about a J.J. Watt? Anybody heard of J.J. Watt? I think he had an NFL career. I'm not sure. I think he was drafted. I'm not sure. J.J. Watt. He had 3 tackles, 2 for loss, and a sack. Looks like Mr. Borland had a sack. I'm not going to even attempt that. Nzigwu, Mr. Lewis, he had half a sack along with Mr. St. Jean. I can say that. So, yeah, it was just Wisconsin playing Wisconsin football, and their defense totally just stymied Miami's offense. So, with that being, hang on, let me go back to So, like I said, Miami finished. They finished 9-4. All right. Oh yeah. What did he say? Oh yeah, he played for the Detroit D Boys. I'm from 8 Mile. So your Miami Hurricanes, they finished the season 9-4. They finished ranked number 19th in the AP poll, so they finished a top 20 team. One thing I did not cover, and I really wish I had, was the final. Katie's got something good here. I was telling my mom about the rise and fall. She swears it was the bad old days and the misdeeds of the past made the administration gushy about our academic and institute. Damn, girl, you said a lot. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let me stop that. And what I meant to show this before we got to the bowl game, but I'm going to show it anyway. It's the final ACC standings for 2009. I mean, look, Dabo's first year and they win the Atlantic. You know, Miami beat Georgia Tech, but apparently something happened. They ended up being 10-3. But still, you know, Virginia Tech, as you can see, Georgia Tech went to the Orange Bowl, lost to Iowa. So Georgia Tech actually won the ACC apparently. But, you know, Miami, thanks to some sanctions or some penalties from the NCAA, Miami was able to finish 3rd in the Coastal at 9-4 and 5-3. So, yeah, that was the season that was in 2009. So now we are going to go to our team stats for 2009, and for this I will be using the 2010 media guide, which recaps the 09 season. So that's what I'm using. And again, if any of y'all are curious in this information, and Trub Z, if you're still here, website, collegepressbox.com. They have old schedules, media guides for a lot of the conferences. They also do other sports. They do other leagues, professional. Uh, they got like a crap load of stuff. Collegepressbox, one word.com. If you're looking for information, that's where I get it. Oops. Luckily, we're starting to get a little closer to present day, so things I'm starting, you're able to get better information and stuff. But anyway, shameless plug for College Press Box. Okay, so we're going to look at the final team stats for 2009. Miami did outscore their opponents 394 to 288. Miami did out. They did have. They outscored their own average per game. Outscored the opponent 30.3 to 22.2. Outdid the first downs. Rushing yards. Miami did 1794 against the 1590 for the year. This is the interesting part. Yards passing. 3405 for Miami against a 95 for the opponent. Now look at this. Miami, which is basically going to be Mr. Harris because he was there for the whole time. And we'll get into the individual numbers in just 1 second. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to do you a solid, Mr. Chubb Z. I'm going to put that link. I don't know if it's going to let me do it. Let's see if I can spell this. Is it going to let me do this? Yeah, that's the link right there, Truckin'. Collegepressbox.com. They got a lot of the older stuff. I know you like to do all those shows for other teams and stuff, so have fun with it. It's all free. Everything's mostly in PDF. You can download all the stuff and do whatever. Okay, so back on topic here. So Miami ended up going 246 for 416 with 17 interceptions. 17. Now they ended up with 9 interceptions on defense. They were averaging 8 yards per pass with the average of 13.8 per catch, which they were basically averaging 261 a game. Rushing, they averaged 138 a game. So, and that was still more than the competition. So their averages were still above the competition. Total offense, they ended up with almost 5,200 total offense versus the opponent at about 43. Now, third down conversions. Y'all know I love this stat. This is going to be my stat I'm always looking at. Third down conversion. Miami was 79 of 177. 45% conversion rate, which that's not bad. You had some games that kind of offset it. But, the defense held the opponent to a 36% average on third down conversion, 66 of 182. Excuse me. So, and then they also had 45% conversion rate on fourth down. I'm not going to get into all the other stuff. Looking at the score, it looks like Miami outscored their opponent in every quarter except for overtime. Of course, that was the Clemson game that we talked about. But, outscoring your opponent every quarter, that's not bad. Now, again, numbers don't lie, but they don't always tell you what's going on, Uh-oh, I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit. There we go. So, into the individual stats on offense here. Rushing, Looks like Mr. Cooper was the leading rusher. Whoops. Forgot about that. Put that in. So it looks like Mr. Cooper was, stop that. He was the leading rusher with just about 700 yards. Mr. Barry was second for 616. Mr. Javar's James, 492. So, you know, that's pretty well distributed. Pretty well distributed, you know. Mr. Barry led the running back room with 8 touchdowns. Mr. James, 6, and Cooper, 4. The longest run from scrimmage this year was in 2009 was Mr. Cooper. But Mr. Barry had a 49. Mr. James had a 50. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, altogether they ended up doing almost 1,800 yards rushing. You know, because you start bringing in Chambers and Mike James and Matt Bosher, who ran for some, Travis Benjamin. But, I mean, just the core running back room, okay? That, pretty cool. That's pretty good. Now, the part that was kind of depressing. So, Mr. Harris played in 13 games. He had a 140.09 efficiency rating. He was 242 of 406 for 3,352 yards, 24 touchdowns. His longest pass was 69 yards. He averaged almost 258 yards a game. He had almost a 60% completion rate. But, the big but, 17 interceptions. 17 interceptions. You know, I understand, you know, he was in his second year. But, you know, and again, you know, only other quarterback you had was Mr. Highsmith. He was a true freshman, but 17 interceptions. That is just wild. And Harris was good. He was really, I liked him. Okay. Receiving. As you can see, all these cats got a reception. Look, even old Patrick Hill, the fullback, got him a reception. You know, so Mr. Hankerson led the receiving room with 45 catches for 800 yards. Mr. LaRon Bird, right down the road from me, he had 33 for 460. Mr. Benjamin had 29 for 501, etc. And even Mr. Graham, Mr. Jimmy Graham, his first year coming off the basketball court, you know, he didn't really do much spring break training, Shad, because, you know, he was into basketball. So, anyway, Mr. Jimmy Graham comes in. He played in 13 games, but he had 17 receptions for 213. He averaged 12.5 yards a catch with 5 touchdowns, which is only second to Mr. Hankerson with 6. So, you know, they may have been onto something having Mr. Jimmy Graham play football. Time will tell. Anyway, but as you can see, I'm not going to go through all this. Y'all can see all the numbers. Looks like Mr. Theron Collier had 2 touchdown punt returns for touchdown out of 12 attempts. Was there anything else as far as so looking at the interceptions on defense. So Mr. Regis had 2, Mr. Harris, Phillips, they all had 2 interceptions, and Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Van Dyke, and Mr. Sharpton all had 3. Mr. Sharpton in that Duke game, wasn't it? It was Duke. Yeah, that was the only interception returned on the season for a touchdown. So, and that basically closes the book on 2004. Not 2004, 2009. Oh my God. I'm trying to do too much at one time. is what's happening. All right. Oh, it was a very, let me go ahead. I'm going to switch this around. Bam. Look at that, boy. That way, if anybody come in late, not picking on you, trucking, but you can see the brand new check it out corner. I have updated photos. Anyway, so basically, in a nutshell, this 2009 season, it's just, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, they had our number, the defense for Virginia Tech, and then Clemson. And honestly, even Wisconsin, I mean, it's like they just stymied the offense. And of course, with Mr. Harris having 17 interceptions, did not help. They really were. I didn't even look to see what kind of fumbles were out there, but just those 17 interceptions. And people were freaking out about TVD and his 10 or 12. People are freaking out about Cam Ward and his, 10 or 12 interceptions. And Mr. Harris, he had a lot. So, usually around this time, we play everybody's favorite game show, Upgrade or Downgrade. And since I don't have my lovely assistants, I guess I'm going to have to play this myself. Now, let me stop that. And then I need to do this. Is that what I want? I think that's what I want. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, so at this portion of the program, and this is where we play upgrade, downgrade. Let me make sure I'm right on track. Yes, I am. Okay, so basically what we do at this point of the show in closing is we'll just kind of compare the team that we're discussing in the episode to the team we just had or going to have. And we just say if it's an upgrade or a downgrade, not really trying to well, I guess we are trying to compare, but it's more or less just kind of get a feel of where things are. So, excuse me, looking at the quarterback room. Now, again, you got to discount Cook. All right. And you have to discount Mr. Smith because, like I said, they had transferred out probably after the time this was printed. So, it gives you Ja'Cory, Highsmith, and Pirelli. All right. And, as far as quarterback goes, I really can't say. Because of the fact, well, I mean, Mr. Harris was talented. He had his moments. He had his shining moments, but he had the 17 interceptions. And the competition was kind of almost like what we had this year. But he was a lot more successful. But again, I don't know what I'm just going to say, I'm going to call a draw. I'm just going to say it's a draw. Cuban's not here. I can play this game how I want. Between TVD and his inability and Ja'Cory and his interceptions, I was really hoping Mr. Harris would have had a good season, Running backs, I'll take 2009 any day. No disrespect to what we have now. But Cooper and James, oh man, what? Now again, they've Javaris is a senior. Mr. Cooper was a junior, so I mean it's kind of apples to oranges. All right. Oh yeah, he was. He really was. And also Miss Katie brings up the fact that Harris was asked to throw the ball. Oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And of course, some of them he did have some interceptions where he was hit, but again, Mr. Harris was a sophomore. He really. I'm not saying he was not talented. I'm not saying that at all. But it's hard to call. Hard to call. Now, yeah, I would definitely take the running backs from '09 just because you had Barry, Cooper, Javaris James, Lamar Miller was a freshman. Mike James was a freshman. Now of course Cooper and Javaris were senior, junior, and senior respectively. I mean, Lee Chambers, that was a good running back room. Receivers, I'll take 2009 receivers over this year only because you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have to do this. There we go, because you got to be able to see me. No disrespect to the receivers we have now, none whatsoever. But the problem is we haven't seen very many of them in game time action. I mean, it's like it was the Restrepo show, the X show. A little bit of Jacoby, a little bit of Colby thrown in, nothing. But as y'all saw, damn near the whole receiving room got touches. You have an average of, 7 to 9 different guys touching the ball on pass receptions. We didn't have that this year. You had tight end usage. I'm just saying, again, I'm just saying if I had to make a choice, okay? I'm not saying that this team this year ain't crap. No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, and you had a lot of sophomores, some freshmen in there. We do. And honestly, truth be told, Katie says, we know what we had in '09. At present, we have a small. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. So please, I'm kind of basing a lot of this on last year. I know we still got a lot of young guys, a lot of guys in the wide receiver room that we have not seen catch a ball. We have not even seen those talented young men on the field. Not going to get into a blame game. But there's only one person that says you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. No, you know what I mean? But the takeaway I want to give is just the fact that the ball was spread around so much more back in '09 and even back in '08. Tight ends, without a doubt, I'll take '09 tight ends over this year. Just because of the fact, again, we still don't know what we have in tight ends because you don't target the tight ends. Okay, I think the tight ends this past year had targets of like 10, 17? Some of them cats couldn't even catch the ball when it hit them in the numbers. Now, again, you have some young guys out there. They're going to be good. We're going to find out. But then again, in all fairness, you got Epps and Gordon. And even Jimmy Graham was a senior. I think he played the next year. But anyway, you have all these seniors and 2 freshmen, So, again, it's Jimmy Graham. And if you know your Miami history, you know about Jimmy Graham. All right. Offensive line. You had junior, senior, junior, sophomore, senior, junior, freshmen. It was a more seasoned group. So yeah, you're going to definitely want to take the offensive line, and then the defense again, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Truthfully speaking, I'm really not a big fan. This upgrade downgrade game it's really an unfair comparison. Let's see what Katie say. I don't care what anybody says. Losing card. Exactly. Exactly. You know, again, it. I'm not going to get into the decisions of the coaches vis-a-vis the personnel and who gets what as far as on the field touches and everything. But anyway, so, honestly, I'm not going to even do it. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but it's really hard. It's really hard to take, like the '09 team, the '08 team, these established teams that have players that have been through the system. I know they didn't practice during spring break. See, trucking, got your new picture up there, buddy. Versus what we got now, in that you don't know what we really have because not everybody has had a chance to get out there on the field. Oh, but it's just fun to play, I guess. It's whatever. But so yeah, that's basically it for oops. That's basically it for 2009. It had its ups and downs, but unfortunately when it came, I mean, yeah, Miami beat the Oklahoma. Kind of like, they beat A&M, okay? But yeah, in '09, they finally got over the hurdle of they beat Georgia Tech, but they still lost to Virginia Tech. They lost to North Carolina. You know, they lost to Clemson in overtime, even though this past year they beat them in overtime. But the fact of them, and then of course they lost to Wisconsin. But again, it's still, we're still seeing kind of the same thing go on. But again, in 2024, you have this thing called NIL, and you have this thing called transfer portal. If you transferred back in '09, you kind of had to sit out for a year, unless you had a special whatever. Yeah, the Rick era, that's going to be interesting. And of course, we are, well, I don't want to give anything away right now, but hang on, let's see. Do I still have it up or did I get rid of it? I must have got rid of it. But, when we get to the golden age, the golden era, that's probably, I'm thinking about when we get to Al Golden's first year, I think I'm going to call it the golden years. But no, yeah, it's crazy, because, yeah, I know Mr. Rick did fine. He did great, and again, it's like I said before, oh, that 2017 team, talented young men, talented. But the thing about 2017, things kind of bounced Miami's way. The ball bounced their way in most places, But still, no disrespect. That was a good team. So we're in 2009, right? Okay. So in 2009, I forgot to mention that, Miami started unranked in the preseason, got as high as number 8, top 10 twice, 3 times, and then they ended up 19. So, I will say this. As far as the next episode, it'll be 2010. That season ended on the loss in the Sun Bowl. I'm just going to say that. Oh, 2010. That's right. We're moving right along. So, and also 2010 was Randy Shannon's last year. Oh yeah, Rick spread the ball around. Oh, I agree. Oh yes, yes, yes. 2010 was Randy Shannon's last year, so this could be Shannon's last stand. I'm gonna have to come up with some type of some kind of title, but shoot, we did good. It's only been 3 hours and 20 minutes of talking. So uh let's see. We are probably about 2 hours away, 2 hours 15 minutes away from the Fans Point of View show, which is brought to you by Truck and Chub Z and Shad. So I'm about to get off this and I'm gonna try. I have all the intentions of watching that. I may not have all the knowledge and expertise that Truckin' and Shad have, but you know, it is what it is. So look, that's really that's gonna do it. That's really gonna do it for this episode. Episode 6, 2009. Let it whip. Uh, Stay alert, stay tuned. I really can't give you I really, at this point, I can't tell you when the next episode will be, but more than likely I'll announce it on a Patio Perspectives show. So, yeah, that's it. Thank y'all so much. I see, of course, Miss Katie. I'm so glad you come by. Truck and Chub Z, thank you for coming by. Even though I keep giving you the business and I don't really get a chance to come by and see you. It's not on purpose, I promise you that. Of course, Shad, my man Shad, he come by, and also Cuban Kane. Thank you for being an on air guest. Thank you for stopping by, even though you had, you got work to do. Also QB was in the house. Thank you so much, QB, for stopping by and spending a little bit of time out your day with us. I know that it's I know, it's Saturday afternoon. This is kind of a funky time, but it was actually the only time slot I found to really work for me. But probably next week. Do, 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 do. If I had to guess, maybe, I don't know, maybe a Sunday night. Because I know Friday and Saturday night's going to be jumping. Everybody's going to be out there Saturday and Sunday, but it's Friday and Saturday. So I may tentatively, maybe next Sunday, episode 7, 2010, I'll come up with something. I'll be there tonight whether y'all like it or not. Oh, Katie, we like having you and your perspectives. You know, it's like, you, Katie, and everybody else who comes by. Yeah, I always appreciate it. Even Cuban. I know Cuban is an outcast, a blight, a thorn in the side to some people, but I really like his points of view. I may not agree with all of them. I may not disagree with all of them, but I do like them, just like I like everybody's points of view. So anyway, so to those of y'all who are in the chat, thank y'all so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with me. That's really nice of y'all to sit there and make it this far through all this exciting information. You might as well buckle up because it's going to be like that for another 13 seasons, But, and for those of you who may have been in the back row, just coming in, checking it out, thank you so much for coming by and spending time. Even if you only spent 30 seconds, thank you for even stopping by. And to all you fine folks who make it this far, watching it on a rewatch, thank you so much. It's really cool. It's really cool to get the fellowship with y'all like this. I kind of enjoy it. It's been a busy last few days, but I still enjoy it. I'm fine with it. So anyway, as you know, peace, love, and soul. It's all about the you. Go Canes. Thank y'all. if you wanna hit the like button, great. If you don't, that's fine. If you want to subscribe. If you don't, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care. Do your thing. Just make sure you come in here and have fun. All right, I'm out of here. Thank y'all so much. Again, Fans Point of View, 6:30 Eastern. Chubb Z, Shad 1419. Y'all go check it out. Bye.
I'm just a simple man living in a crazy world, trying to make some future plans and moving with an honest girl. I don't need much, just looking for a pretty lady with a sense of loyalty, someone who's gonna look out for me. Said I'm a simple man, I don't want nothing complicated. Please don't misunderstand. After all the time I waited, all I need is a woman who knows what to do when it's time to ease my mind, and how to give a brother space sometimes. Oh, a woman who's got her independence, but she also want a man who's always winning. Hey, an intelligent girl. Oh, the world better get up out of her way. Oh, the lady is spontaneous, ready to do the craziest things just for fun. No matter where and whatever it is, she handled the biz and will do anything for me. For this simple man, you know I'm a simple man. I keep it real, real cool. If I decide to take your hand, don't ever blame me for no fool. Cause I've been around the block, pretty sure I've seen everything there is to see. I'm looking for the perfect one for me. I'm just a simple man, and I'm looking for someone